The best show for Chicago sports.
Yeah. We back. Yeah. What is good, everybody? It is your boy, Pat the Designer, back at it again. We are live for another episode of The Daily Show. On today's show, we got to break down what we saw from these Chicago Bulls last night, beating the Boston Celtics, handedly getting themselves back in the win column. What is that going to mean for this team moving forward? Also, update on Justin Fields' shoulder injury. Should he continue to play? We'll talk about all that and more in today's episode of the Windy City Breeze Sports Talk Daily. Make sure that you guys hit that like button and subscribe to the page, man. We do talk Chicago sports daily on this channel. It's the only channel talking Chicago sports, how Chicago talk. So make sure that you get in tune with us, man. Listen, it is Tuesday, November 22nd. I'm recording this probably about 30 minutes before I got to head into the new gig. We got a lot going on today, but we're going to make it happen. Yeah. Hey. Appreciate y'all for showing love to another episode, man. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, man. We do talk Chicago sports daily on this channel. Only channel talking Chicago sports, how Chicago talk. So make sure that you get in tune with us, man. Why you hating? Why you hating, man? If you haven't done so, just
push the button. Come on. Push the button. Come on, push the button.
Yeah, come on, push your button.
Listen, we got a lot to get into in a little bit of time because did the game last night. Bulls come away with a dub, which is exciting to see, right? But doing the game last night, right? Don't get the opportunity to record the daily show in the evening, so got to do that mug the morning after. We're still working out the schedule on this, but gonna be a lot of content coming you guys' way today, so make sure that you stay in tune with us, man. Biggest topic, right? Bulls come away with the dub. I don't know about the biggest topic, right? The Justin Fields shoulder injury is probably the biggest topic, but starting off, right, let's start off with a little positive. Let's start off with a little positive in our morning. Bulls come away with the dub. Played really well last night on both ends. Did a great job against the Boston Celtics. Came out and dominated offensively, dominated defensively. Put Boston in a lot of situations it didn't want to be in. Forced a lot of tough shots. And here's the thing that I said over on Locked On Bulls. By the way, if after this is done and you want to hear a little bit more of me, go check out Locked On Bulls. The Chicago Bulls last night did not do anything that we haven't seen them do this entire losing streak. They just did it for 4 quarters. We've seen them be able to play this level defensively. They are a top, I believe, still top 15 at a minimum defense in the NBA. I think they're somewhere around 11 or 12 right now. Defense in the NBA. They're a defense that can get after you. They're a defense that can force you to make mistakes, force turnovers, and turn that into points on the other end. And we've seen them do that in every single game, just not for 4 quarters. And last night we saw them come out against a Boston team. They have a clear advantage against size-wise, right? And you saw them take advantage of that with Vooch and Drummond down low, right, where they were just able to out-rebound them. 51 rebounds to 38 rebounds. Did a great job out-rebounding them. And at the end of the day, that's going to help you a lot. They really match up well against this Boston team. But you saw a Bulls team that was playing the passing lane. You saw a Bulls team that was playing up. You saw a Patrick Williams that was not afraid to go up against Jason Tatum. You saw Ayo Dosunmu attacking. And I think, right, like last night, you had to ask the question, did the benching work of Zach LaVine? Zach LaVine got benched in the 4th quarter of that Orlando Magic game, right? Billy Donovan basically said, I thought I made the decision that gave us the best chance to win. Got benched in the fourth quarter of that Magic game. As he's coming back, right, how's he going to respond to the benching? Last night, to me, Zach LaVine, for probably the first time since this entire ordeal, or this entire, I don't want to say ordeal, since this entire change came, where now you're more of a competing team. Now you're more of a team where you've got other guys that can lead the team. Since the entire Vooch, DeMar, all of that happens. Zach LaVine looked like the leader of this team. Zach LaVine was one of the fixed points on the defensive end of the ball. Zach LaVine wasn't shooting the ball as well, right? 8 for 20 for 22 points. That's not a great shooting night by any stretch of the imagination. But it wasn't just the shooting. Zach LaVine was finding his guys open, finding Patrick Williams in open opportunities multiple times, drive and kick, working multiple times, right? He was the he was down there getting rebounds. I believe he ended up with 5 rebounds last night, right? He was when he finally was able to get the shot going, then he started knocking the shot down, but he didn't allow himself to get out of that game. And I think that that's the energy that went down to the rest of the team. Zach LaVine did everything he could last night to help the Chicago Bulls team get better around him. And guess what? They got better around him. And as they got better around him, he got better with them. That's what the Bulls need to continue to do, especially with a tough road trip coming up. How are you going to get better with your best player? Zach LaVine has to figure that out. I thought he responded very well to Billy Donovan benching him, right? I thought he came out with a different energy. I thought there was a ton of things that Zach did that aren't going to show up in the stat sheets. It's not very often that we say that, right? Like, I thought he had his most I thought he had the best game as a leader of the Chicago Bulls that we've seen in a Bulls jersey. He didn't come out. He didn't pout. He wasn't upset that they didn't go to me in this moment. He just came out and he did his job. He came out and he did his job. That's all I was looking for him to do. And I thought that that was such a key moment in last night's game. Now, I think the question is, right, can this be something that's sustainable? Again, like I talked about with this Bulls team, it's not that the Bulls don't have the ability to do this. It's not that the Bulls don't have the talent. They've got the talent. They've got the ability. They have every intangible that you can have as a Chicago Bull. Right? Defense, offense, and when they can, we know that they can score. Now, I will say this: maybe this gets the offense going back in the right direction. Right? The offense had kind of become stagnant for the most part, where the Bulls were basically a middle of the pack team, field goal attempts wise, 3-point attempts wise, stuff like that. Like, they were bottom of the barrel in some of those stats as well, just on the attempts. So maybe this gets the offense going a little bit more. Maybe they move a little more efficiently, but the Bulls always have been, we've always seen that they have the ability to do this. The question is, can you repeat it? Is this a fluke? Is this a one-game thing? Is this a team you just match up really, really well against? And you know what? We'll see coming against the Milwaukee Bucks, another team that they're built for the inside. They're built for Andre Drummond to be there. They're built for, you know what I'm saying, Nikola Vucevic down low. And they've got some weapons that can attack you the other way. And Bobby Portis, Brook Lopez, right? Brook Lopez just knocked down, 7 threes a couple of nights ago? So a guy that can stretch the floor just like Vooch can. You know what I mean? Like, coming in with a lot. How do you take that into the next game? And then the next game? And then the next game, right? Like, that's what I want to see this Bulls team kind of take that next step. And hopefully, right, this is the turning point for the Chicago Bulls. And I think that's the question. Is this the turning point? Because we've seen a Bulls team that's been very up and down. They've been very inconsistent. Is this the turning point for this Bulls team? Where does this team end up going from here? You had a great win against Boston, but you know what? You've played Boston competitive every time. You're probably coming in with a little bit more confidence against Boston. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot to me that I look at against Boston, and I say, yeah, there's some good things there for sure. You played a great game. This is the first time, even against Boston, right, that I think the Bulls played 4 quarters. And you know what? I'll applaud one other thing. Billy Donovan coached, arguably his best game of the season. Now, we can question the stretch right down the stretch where he doesn't go to Patrick Williams nearly as much. Patrick Williams only playing 25 minutes. He basically, to me, had one of his best games of his NBA career. That is actual meaningful game, right? Like the game versus the Wolves, I love it, right? It's great. And he was playing against a good chunk of the starters on that Wolves team, and he played really well, and he put up 35, and you knew what he could do. But at the end of the day, right, like that was the last game of the season. I thought he played well. I thought he did a great job, but that's the last game of the season. It just doesn't matter as much. There's a lot of people that go into that game with now it's a great game for sure. Nope, can't take it away. He still put up 35 on you. But the last game of the season. This is a game early in the season versus top competition that has been offensively cooking. And, I mean, honestly, he made Jason Tatum's life hard. He made Jason Tatum's life hard for most of that night while he was out there. And yet, right, like I outside of that, outside of him maybe not getting more minutes down the stretch if you don't like that lineup, I think Billy Donovan coached the best game of his career. And I think Patrick Williams played one of his best games. There was a lot of best to get a win in here. But you know what? This could be the turning point for you. That's what I'm asking of the Chicago Bulls team. Is this going to be the point where now we look at this roster and we say, hey, no, they're moving in the right direction. They're moving up. And we'll find out, right? We got a quick turnaround. We go up against Milwaukee tomorrow night. We'll be live for that over here on the Windy City Breeze, of course. We go up against Milwaukee tomorrow night, and I think that's the biggest thing. When you face a different competitor, how are you going to react? When you face, literally, right, you just beat one of the best teams in the NBA. You've beaten them twice. You've matched up really well against them. You don't have that same advantage versus the Milwaukee Bucks. The advantage you have is going to be from your guard play. How's DeMar DeRozan going to play? How is Zach LaVine going to play, right? Like, that's how, right, like now, your bigs played great in this game. Now, how's the outside going to play in this game? They did a great job allowing you to take that three ball in the playoffs. They still going to give you that? Probably. Can you knock it down at a high consistency? That's what I'm looking for. I thought the Bulls did an excellent job taking advantage of the advantages they had last night. I thought the Bulls did an excellent job taking advantage of the advantages they have last night, honestly. They had a clear advantage inside. Now, maybe they could have gone to Vooch a little bit more, but even Billy Donovan talked about that yesterday, right? Where he said, we were throwing the ball inside to Vooch. Could we have gone to him a little bit more? Maybe, but they were also double-teaming him for most of that second half. So, in that situation, right, yeah, can I go to him a little bit more? Maybe, but that means somebody's open. That means somebody's open. But just taking advantage of the advantages that you have in a game. Can the Bulls do that for a full 4 quarters? That's what it comes down to. The Chicago Bulls did nothing last night that we've never seen them do. Can you do it consistently? That's what I'm looking to ask. That's what I'm trying to see. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Because I saw them do this against New Orleans for a half. I saw them do this against Orlando for a half. Right? Saw them fight their way back into the Denver game for a couple of quarters. But it hasn't been a fourth quarter four-quarter dominant performance. And I'm not saying you're going to have those every night. I'm not saying that that's going to be the case night in and night out. But it needs to be the case more times than not that you're playing your game for 4 quarters because you're just not to the point where you're just dog-walking teams to the point where they can't get back in it. Heck, Boston had a nice little run to get back into this one, right? When the Bulls were up what? What was our biggest lead? I think the Bulls were up 21 at one point. Yeah, biggest lead was 21. Now, Boston's biggest lead was 3. Makes a difference, but the Bulls' biggest lead was 21. 121-107 is the final score. And they were fighting the entire time. And there was a lot of us that were like, oh, boy, Boston's going to go on a run. Here we go. And they didn't, right? Like, the Bulls held them off. The Bulls did their job. But that's the feeling. That's what your gut's telling you, right? Like, we haven't seen them close these games out. Here comes Boston. Boston wasn't able to make it last night because we saw the Bulls do a lot of things really well defensively. I thought some of the interesting players last night, of course, you look at, like I was talking about with Patrick Williams. Patrick Williams played, arguably, in my opinion, his best game last night. By the way, appreciate you guys for tuning in and rocking with us, man.
Push the button. Come on. Push the button. Come on, push the button.
Yeah, come on, push your button.
Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, man. We do talk Chicago sports daily on this channel. It's the only channel talking Chicago sports, how Chicago talks, so make sure that you get in tune with us, man. Of course, to me, right, Patrick Williams is the biggest question mark on this team. And the question to me that I think I have to focus in on, right, is what does P. Will have to do to stay on the court? It's the only question that I continue to have with Billy Donovan after last night's game. You know, I thought he coached a heck of a game. I thought the lineups were perfect. The rotations were perfect up until kind of that final stretch. And not to say, right, like it wasn't even perfect. It's just not the lineup I would have thrown out there more so. Right? They end up with Levine, Drummond. Levine, Vucevic, DeMar. I believe Io may have been on the court, or maybe Kobe White at that time, trying to go a little more offensive, and then Alex Caruso. Meanwhile, throughout this game, Patrick Williams is not only having his best game of the season so far, I believe, offensively, as he was 6 for 9, 17 points, was really looking to get a shot, was being really active around the rim. Yeah, that's his best game. Is that a preseason game? He's got a 22-point game against Milwaukee, but I think that's a preseason game. That's the preseason game. Okay. His best game offensively, this season. But he also gave you an amazing game defensively. Did a great job on Jason Tatum. Really forced Jason Tatum into some tough shots. Was closing out well, was rotating well. The entire defense rotated really well all night, right? But just did a lot of good things last night. I thought he did a lot of things that made the defense's life hard. The Boston Celtics offense life hard. And even the defense's life, right? Like, he did some things where it literally was just, oh yeah, he is 6'7", 6'8". Really big, able to finish around the rim with both hands, able to shoot open threes and knock those down, right? Like, he does do all those things really well. By the way, he's one of our best three-point shooters on the team, which is funny to say. What does Patrick Williams have to do to consistently get in those moments? And again, I can't say Billy Donovan was wrong, right? Because the lineup worked great. They came out there. They were able to close the game out for the most part. They got up to about 4 minutes left. I think P. will end up getting back in 4 or 5 minutes, something like that. But there was a long stretch there in that second and third quarter where P. Will just wasn't on the court. Played 25 minutes. And right, like I want the thing that I want to see P. will get to, and maybe it's right just working him in, just kind of figuring him out. Maybe we'll see him start to get in the lineup more so with as we go through this road trip, and as he's starting to play better, he's starting to get into his game a little bit more, right? Maybe we'll start to see a little bit more from him, or him given more of a role. But I would love to see Patrick Williams have moments where he is the offense. or at least where he has the ability to try and be the offense, right? Where he's out there with Dragic and Drummond, and P. Will is the focal point of a lot of these plays. P. Will is the one getting the ball. Because what I'm seeing from this kid is that when you put the ball in his hand, now he's having more of a willingness to shoot the ball. Now he's having more of a willingness to attack the rim. Now he's having more of a willingness to, and he's still going to make the pass, right? That's just the kind of player he is. He wants to make the right play. He wants to put the ball in the hands of the person that's best suited to score it. There's nothing wrong with that. But I want to see moments where P. Will can say, oh, I can go, and he goes. Because it seems like every time we run a play for this kid, it seems like every time we put the ball in his hand, he's able to get to the bucket. He's able to put the ball in the bucket. I thought Zach LaVine did a great job getting him involved early. I thought he found him on some nice open three-pointers, able to cash out a couple of those, right? I thought right, like playing with Zach opened up his game a little bit more, made him a little more confident. And then you see him right now just cutting to the bucket a little bit harder, rising up a lot harder, fighting to get downhill a lot harder, right? Like he's being much more aggressive in these last few games that we've seen him be over his career. Now, I think we've paid attention to it a lot less maybe because the Bulls lost 6 of those last 7 games. Or 5 of those last 7 games or whatever. But now I'm looking at this and I'm saying, okay, well, what is keeping him out of these games? Because he's clearly been our best defender in some of these moments, right? He's clearly been the go-to guy defensively in some of these moments. When you see him having that offensive game, why aren't we going with him more? Maybe, listen, I'm not saying Billy Donovan changed up the entire rotation, right? Of course, he's got to go with the rotations that work best for his team. He's got to go with the rotations that work best for the Bulls. But we're putting a lot of small ball lineups when P. Will isn't allowed to do more in a lot of these games. Or even, and I think, right, it's just the fact that not even being given the opportunity. Because I think there's a lot of guys who are at least given the opportunity, right? Javonte Green gets into that fourth quarter. He's got the hot hand versus Orlando. They don't pull him out. He's given the opportunity. I get you on days where P. Will might have 5-6 points, right? You're like, he ain't got it tonight. We don't go with him. But he's a solid defender. He's actually a really good defender, NBA-wise. And if he's giving you the offensive output, like he had Tatum on skates on one play, snatch back, set, pull up, cash, right? The other play, right, where he behind the back, side step, pull up, cash, right? And then other plays, open three-pointer, able to knock that down. He gets downhill on the bucket. He's just bigger than everybody. Put that in. You know what I mean? Like, you saw him playing an aggression that we weren't playing last night. And there's moments where it seems like he is in this box. And maybe, I don't know if there's an injury concern or something like that, if you're just bringing him back slowly because you want to see him do more later in the season. So early on in the season, you're taking your time with it. I don't know. But I think that's the question that a lot of Bulls fans have when he has games like this. Why aren't we letting him do more? Why aren't we letting him play more? Why aren't we letting him attack a little bit more? And I think that's the part we got to figure out, man. That's the part we got to figure out. That's how we get to that next step, man. Again, listen, the Bulls played a heck of a game. They kept the Celtics from really doing anything too damaging, right? Celtics shot 44% from the field. By the way, this is the best offensive team in the NBA. They shot 44% from the field. They shot 38% from the three-point line, 19 for 50 from the three-point line. The Bulls shot 14 for 29. 14 for 29. Hey, you knock down some threes, it helps you win a game, don't it? Out-rebounded them 51-38. Bulls won just about every category here. We had 10 steals in the game, turning that offense to defense. They had 15 turnovers overall. We scored 18 points off of that. We had 11 turnovers. They scored 17 points off of those 11 turnovers. Incredibly efficient off of the points off of turnovers, right? Keeping the game a little bit close, but not 11 turnovers. That's a great game for the Bulls. Bulls have been averaging 18, 17 turnovers a game. 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 18, 17 tur Can you continue to do it? That's what we'll find out against Milwaukee, man. That's what I'm excited to see. Hey, I appreciate you guys for tuning in and showing love, man.
Push the button. Come on. Push the button. Come on, push the button.
Yeah, come on, push your button.
Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, man. We do talk Chicago sports daily. It's the only channel talking Chicago sports, how Chicago talk. Now, unfortunately, I got to make this daily show a little bit shorter because we did a game last night, right? Had to get up, record this before work. So I actually got to get out of here and go to work in about 10 minutes. But I do want to touch on this before we get up out of here, man. Justin Fields ends up going down with a shoulder injury in that game. Unfiltered reported yesterday, David Kaplan and Ian Rappaport basically saying that Justin Fields has suffered a dislocated shoulder. So he's going to miss some time, right? Like they're saying questionable, and it's his non-throwing shoulder, right? I'm assuming it was a clean, like, pop out. You're able to pop it back in. It's going to be sore. You're going to wrap it, all that stuff. And the question around this, right, is should they sit him? Should they not? Should Justin Fields sit? Should he play? Listen, don't sit this. I'm sorry. Don't play this, man. Because if you play him, not to say, right, that if he wants to play, if he's trying to force his way out, sometimes you have to protect the player from themselves. Justin's going to want to be out there. Justin's going to want to lead his team. Justin doesn't want any of those, right? Trevor Siemian has a couple of games where he throws the ball well, and then all of a sudden people are like, is it Trevor Siemian? That's our backup, right? Well, all of a sudden people are like, oh, here comes Siemian in the game, and he's going to make the next play, and he's going to be our quarterback. You know how the backup quarterback stuff go. Justin's not going to want to deal with that. But do not allow Justin Fields to play. There is no reason to put his body in that level of danger. You know that your offensive line cannot protect him. You know that your offensive line will not be able to keep him alive. You know that the best way for you to use him currently is to use his legs. Not to say he can't throw, not to say he can't make plays with his arms. He can. I think he's a better passer than a lot of people give him credit for. But the best thing for him is to use his legs. Because it's the only thing that's going to keep him alive. Don't play Justin Fields. Don't be stupid. Who cares about a meaningless game in a 3-8 season versus the New York Jets? I will say this, your viewership is going to be way down because there's a lot of people that don't care. There's going to be a lot of people that do not care about Justin Fields. About Trevor Siemian, the Trevor Siemian-led Bears. There's a lot of people that have been tuning in every Sunday in this miserable season just because they want to see what Justin Fields is going to do next. But you can't risk your asset on something like that. I love that it came out as like he is questionable for Sunday. Nope, make it doubtful. Please, make it doubtful. We don't. What are we questioning? What are we talking about? You've seen enough. You know what he has the ability to do. You know what you need to fix based on him having this. I'm going to be honest with you. Like, I would sit him. What do we got? We got 3 games and then the bye. I wouldn't even think about trying to play him until after the bye week. Wouldn't even contemplate it. It wouldn't even come in my mind at any point to put Justin Fields on the field until after the bye week. Honestly. And so for me, that's what you need to be focusing in on. Maybe you put him in after the bye week. Does it suck? Yeah. And I know a lot of people want to see him in that Packer game. When's the Packer game? Is the week before the bye or the week after the bye? Let me double check here. Because for me, right, like that would be maybe the first game you want to see him in. Yeah, the Packers game is the week. So it's the week before the bye. So we got the Jets this week. We got the Packers next week. We got the bye week, then the Eagles in a bit. You know what? That January 1st game versus the Lions looking real good for me. I would love to see him versus the Packers, but that January 1st game versus the Lions looking real good to me. That's a nice comeback game for him. He's got the Jets, the Packers, bye week, Eagles, Bills. How's January 1st work for you, Justin? That's when I want to see you back out on the field. Yep. Is he avoiding the Bills? Yep. Is he avoiding the Eagles? Yep. Are those teams he's going to have to play against moving forward that are going to be really tough? Yep. Do it when he's got an offensive line. Go buy him an offensive line. It would be career suicide of this coaching staff, I think. It would be career suicide of Ryan Poles to allow this coaching staff to put him on the field. Knowing what you know, suicide. There's no way you can allow him to get on that field. At all. You know what your most important piece in this franchise is right now. Ryan Poles made that decision when he trades away Roquan, trades away Quinn. We're going offense over defense. What else are we going to do? We're going to go get him a number 2 receiver. Now, the only thing, right, that we're going to trade a number 2 to go get a receiver. The only thing that sucks with this whole thing, right, is that you don't have that rapport between him and Claypool continuing to be built up. Now, you do get Claypool kind of figuring out the offense here. Hopefully him and Simeon can kind of work through some things as Claypool continues to figure out the offense. But I think that's the only part that really, when I look at it, I'm like, man, like those weeks of them building up that chemistry, that's going to be very important moving forward. And even, right, like even just building it up in practice, building up, right, over the next few weeks, I'm sure he'll be able to. It's his non-throwing shoulder. So I'm sure he'll be able to go out there and throw the ball. Sure he'll be able to go out there and still, throw it around. It just won't be as much range of motion. I don't want to see him in the game. I don't, personally. Let me know how you guys feel in the comments below. Let me know, guys, how you feel in the comments on the side, man. In the chat, do you think Justin should play? We got a lot more content coming to you guys today because I did have a shorter episode today. So I'll probably break this down a little bit more in depth. Later on in the day. Maybe I'll go live again, or I'll just drop a little bit of a solo video just on Justin Fields, because today I don't think we have anything else planned, especially if some new news comes out. We'll be able to get home and do that. So appreciate you guys tuning in and rocking with your boy. As always, man, I got to head off to work. Back on that blue-collar life, baby. As always, man, it's your boy, Pat the Designer, back at it again. To continue watching our Chicago Bears content, click the links on the screen or check the links in the description below. Weird. Kind of nice, though. Click the links on the screen or check the links in the description below. As always, man, it is your boy, Pat the Designer, back at it again. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. I'll holler at y'all in a little bit, man. Yeah. Peace.